What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host and faithful compadre, Glenn Martin. We are here to talk about your Baltimore Ravens. You guessed it right, but something even more close to the heart for all of us, and that is the quarterback position. But before we get into it, two things to say. One, if you're enjoying the content or if you're new to the channel, take a second, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell to turn on notifications so you stay up to date with all your Ravens news. It is the easiest and most impactful way to support the show and the easiest way to stay up on your news, like I said. Number two, this show is brought to you by our partner, LinkedIn Jobs. Everybody these days is hopping around from job to job. Recruiters are working their butts off. And right now is the time, if you're a recruiter or if you're looking for a new job, to use LinkedIn Jobs, because everyone wants to start out the new year fully loaded with their staff. So a lot of companies are hiring. And if you're a recruiter out there looking to place your job ad, LinkedIn Jobs is the best place to do it. Using the promo code 410 at linkedinjobs.com, you can get a free job posting. It's really simple. It is the highest used as far as volume and impressions on their site. It is the most customizable. And I think there's also probably the most professional folks there as well, in my opinion. Go check it out and use the promo code 410. Do it now. But on to the Ravens, Glenn.
Yeah, this is why we're here. And this is a bit of a – man, I tell you what, I knew it would be a bit of a controversy when, you know,
you kind of foreshadowed it, Glenn. You kind of prophesied this.
Yeah, because I figured that Tyler Huntley would have a pretty decent game. I didn't think he would go for 4 touchdowns and was it 280 yards, no turnovers. I didn't quite think he'd get there. But I knew it would cause an issue because of the fact of the unfamiliarity with him as a player and the fact that the DCs haven't really figured out, you know, what he struggles with. So and you know, it can have kind of a unique game plan with a different quarterback. So I thought he would play well, and I thought the team would rally around the backup. A lot of times they tend to do that for at least a game or two before, you know, the reasons he's a backup get revealed and the team starts to struggle, and then usually the morale tanks and the season does as well if a backup is forced into long duty. But I didn't know quite to the level that this would become a big deal. I mean, even if you merely suggest that, you know, Lamar Jackson with no weekly practice is maybe not as a good of option as Tyler Huntley with a full week of practices, man, I mean, they come after you, Jimbo. The Lamar Jackson faithfuls will come after you if you even suggest any type of, even the most minor of criticisms. But, you know, I mean, I think we have to be realistic here when we talk about this upcoming game against the Bengals, and that this is a must win. I mean, you talk must wins, and that term can kind of get thrown around a little loosely, but in this case, I don't care what happens the rest of the year. This game has to be won by the Ravens.
Yep, 100%.
Has to be. So
got to put your best foot forward.
Exactly. Everything is up on the table. You have to talk about every position, and that includes quarterback.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And it's interesting, Glenn, because some of your preface, I think, is starting to reveal your cards a little bit, because we didn't talk about this before the show, but I'm interested to see where your line is, right? Like, does Lamar need to practice this week? If so, how much practice this week? If he doesn't practice all week and he's ready to go Sunday, are you okay with that? Like, I want to know all those things, but I want to give you a little bit of my opinion, because there could be, and I'm debating whether or not we should do a follow-up episode to this to talk about the offense in general. We kind of talked about this off air, but I have to say one thing about Greg Roman. Greg Roman has made some quarterbacks a lot of money. Made Colin Kaepernick a lot of money. Right? Made Tyrod Taylor a lot of money. Not that those guys are not talented, right? They are talented in their own right. But Greg Roman, as criticized as he is, can prop up a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He can prop one up that's willing to play within the confines of his system. If he has the pieces around him, they can get the job done, right? So, because I think everyone will say Colin Kaepernick is not, even at his best, Lamar Jackson. Tyrod Taylor doesn't even belong in the same conversation. And obviously, going to 3 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl, they made some hay, right? So with that being said, it might be easy to say, look, if Lamar's not healthy, let's roll with Tyler because we know that Greg can prop him up to go on a little run, right? To wait for Lamar to get healthy. But Glenn, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not sure what your answer is. I'm going to say it last week and I'm going to say it again. This is how much practice I require of Lamar Jackson. I want the Lamar haters aren't going to come after me this week. I tell you what, and even if they were, it wouldn't change my opinion. It would be hard for me to take a 90 and 80% Lamar Jackson with adrenaline pumping, knowing that this is a must win, going out there and playing as hard as he can, than 150% Tyler Huntley. Love Tyler Huntley more than a lot of people, but Lamar Jackson's just a rare player. So to me, Lamar Jackson needs 0 practice this week. He just needs to get healthy. That's where my line is. I want number 8, even if he doesn't practice all week.
Wow. Okay. Man, see, I don't know if I'm quite there, Jimbo. I mean, and here's the reason why. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I thought that Tyler had a shot at having a pretty good game. I didn't think that he would light the world on fire, but I thought he'd have a pretty good game. Then he goes out and he does just that: 4 touchdowns, 289, no turnovers, and I think, man, he did kind of light the world on fire. And here's what I'm thinking: while this is a must win, this is the biggest game of the year. This is a no doubt about it. Need to have this one. Even if they lose this one and win the next 2, I think this one's most important because of the AFC North implications. The fact that the Ravens would fall to 1 win in the AFC North, that's unacceptable. So I think this game is most important. However, if they win that game, then there's a new most important game, and then there's a new most important game. So when I look at what the Cincinnati Bengals were able to do to the Baltimore Ravens in their first matchup, if anyone remembers, they were harassing Lamar Jackson. Trey Hendrickson was absolutely destroying the tackles that were on the team. I can't even remember. I think that was, I don't know if that was even McCary yet. I think that may have been McCary, but I'm not even sure. But we got destroyed in that game, and the main reason of that destruction was because the defense for the Cincinnati Bengals was harassing Lamar all day. So do I want to put Lamar Jackson out there when he hasn't practiced all week? There's no chance he's 100% from from an injury standpoint, but also from how much cardio, isn't he going to be a little out of shape? You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't been running.
48 hours. It takes 48 hours for you to start declining your cardiovascular capabilities. So
he's going to have some decline there, no matter how you slice it. There's going to be a decline there. So do I want to put that Lamar behind an absolutely battered offensive line? I mean, we got more guys going. Tyree Phillips, there's just no, they say he's questionable. I have no faith that he's going to be able to suit up.
McCary, or play an entire game. I mean, Tyree Phillips never finishes a game, unfortunately. Just never.
No, doesn't do it. And so McCary, again, he's got a cast on his arm. So even if he's able to go, he's going to be doing so with a casted arm. Which, as much as holding's a penalty in the league, I think you'd be kind of silly to not believe that offensive linemen aren't grabbing on virtually every play and just trying to get away with it. So do I want to put a hobbled Lamar Jackson behind an offensive line that's beat up against a defensive front that already shredded our offensive line and risk the fact that he might be hurt for the playoffs? If they win if they win and find themselves in the playoffs, now we don't have Lamar Jackson for a critical playoff run when you don't know what could happen once you get in the big dance. So for that reason, and the confidence that's been instilled to me from Tyler Huntley, I mean, why is it we can't champion Tyler Huntley the same way we championed young Lamar Jackson? That's my whole thing. Like, why is it that when I hype up what Tyler's been doing, that means I'm tearing down what Lamar has done and what we hope he will continue to do?
Because some people just don't.
Yeah, and that bums me out because we love Lamar Jackson, but is it okay to also love Tyler Huntley, or is that not allowed?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. That is an excellent point. And I follow your logic. So I guess let me ask you this follow-up question. At what day does Lamar have to start? What does Lamar Jackson's injury report have to look like this week for you to be comfortable with him starting? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It has to be at least a limited session in all of the practices.
Every single Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Friday. Yeah. I need at least a limited session in all of them because let's be honest, he wasn't playing well before the injury. Again, Lamar Jackson, we love this guy. We want to be our quarterback of the future, but let's just review what he's done in the last few weeks. And you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, he played against the Dolphins where he threw 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 230 yards. We got destroyed. Played against the Browns, had 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, including 3 in the first half. Played against the Steelers, had 1 touchdown, 1 pick, had an okay game. Then the Browns had 17 yards before the injury, and I think everyone kind of saw how the offense was operating up to that point. It wasn't good. Tyler comes in, he lights them up. Not saying that it's because Tyler is leaps and bounds better than Lamar Jackson, but for whatever reason, Lamar Jackson isn't playing the typical way we're used to him playing.
Healthier,
100%.
Right? Maybe there's other things that are bothering Lamar. That's also something. Just because it isn't being talked about doesn't mean it's not the case.
No, you mean not every quarterback is announcing every single hangnail that they have?
Only Baker, Ben, and Aaron Rodgers. My toe. Like,
don't forget, guys, I'm hurt.
Yeah, it's like, shut your mouth, dude. Absolutely. I mean, so there's certainly that possibility as well. And that could be something, like I said, that's not publicized by the quarterback, their agent, or someone else. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Or it could be between the ear. I mean, we all know how important confidence is for every athlete. And if for whatever reason his confidence is taking a bit of a hit and needs to rebound, whatever the reason is, the bottom line is the offense did not look as good in the last couple weeks when Lamar was playing as it has with Tyler Huntley. So unless Lamar is healthy and can practice, can work on some of the things that we've seen going wrong in the field, namely dealing with the blitzing and getting the ball out of your hands, then why not go with Tyler Huntley? What's the downside? What is the down?
Sure, the downside to me is if he starts imploding, and like you said, if he starts showing why, which I have a lot of confidence in Tyler as well. He's won at every level.
Yeah,
every single level, year to date. Except this year, Tyler Huntley has given the University of Utah one of the best seasons his senior year with him and Zach Moss of the University of Utah's football history. Right now, of course, this year going to the Rose Bowl and potentially beating Ohio State would be a big deal. The 2008 Sugar Bowl year when they beat Alabama and things like that, great year. Tyler's year was arguably one of the best. He was the Gatorade player of the year in high school and things of that nature. So, I don't think that everyone talks about him being undrafted. I think it has a lot to do with injury and the COVID year. But at the same time, there's a reason why, right? There's a reason why he wasn't picked in the first, second, third, fourth round.
But maybe they haven't figured that reason why out or how to expose that reason why.
And I think that Greg Roman deserves credit for it, whatever that reason is, for simply masking it. And there's something else that's important, Glenn, is that for the quarterback, and I think at any position at a professional level, a lot of these guys have gotten here on natural ability. Not all, a lot of them, but a lot of them also haven't learned how to study, haven't learned how to work, haven't learned how to be organized. Like, you take it as a job, not just a game, right? So I think that guys that Tom Brady is a perfect example. Guys that come in that are late round picks, but that are organized, that are motivated, that know how to work and turn it into a process by which they can follow, they can progress in leaps and bounds, even though they're already in the league. And so maybe we're also seeing that from Tyler as well. Like, who he was is not who he is.
Not his ceiling.
Exactly. So really, I mean, it's going to be so interesting to see.
So let me ask you this then, Jimmy. Let's say they dress Lamar Jackson. Let's say he doesn't practice all week, but he wakes up feeling pretty good on Sunday.
Yep.
And they say, all right, you know what? We're going to dress you. In the event that the implosion you're talking about happens, Tyler Huntley starts seeing ghosts. Tyler Huntley maybe the defensive coordinator throw a look at him that he's not prepared to counter, and Greg Roman starts drawing up some questionable play calls like we have seen. As much as we credit him in a lot of ways, we've also seen some questionable play calls at times from him as well. What if they dress Lamar Jackson in the event of John saying, you know what? Our season is hanging in the balance right now. It's the third quarter. We're down by 7. We need to make a change. We need to see if Mr. Magic, Lamar Jackson himself, can rally the squad and go on a run. What do you feel about having him active but not as the starter?
Yeah, I don't like it. You talked about the problem maybe being between the ears. Imagine what that would do to him. So I think that if you dress him, you got to start him, because at the same time you're talking about a guy that's still in his rookie deal, and you're hoping to be your franchise quarterback and have one of the best, blue blood marquee franchise quarterbacks in the NFL for the next 8 to 12 years, right? And with that being said, I know you have to worry about now, but you also have to, just like John did in that playoffs against the Chargers. Maybe it was better off that he played Joe, and Joe starts slinging it down the field, gets some stuff up the seam, just starts ripping it, and it works out, right? Maybe. But what does that do for Lamar Jackson long term? John made the right decision there, and I stand by that decision. Now, people don't like John Harbaugh's decision making these days too much, but I think that if Lamar dresses, you got to cater to his psyche as well. I think you got to start him.
I guess also, what does that do for Snoop's psyche if you got a Lamar Jackson standing on the sideline with his helmet in his hand going, you make one mistake, I'm coming on the field, and the fans are going to let you know. So I think that you're certainly right about that. I think that would be a little bit bad. That would be bad for both of them, because I think Snoop would be like, man, every time he throws an errant pass, he's looking over the sideline as Lamar got his helmet in his hand. I guess that could do detriment to both of their psyche. So, man, this is going to be interesting to watch the practice cycle throughout the week. Be on the lookout, whether it's on Twitter or however you find your most up-to-date news. Make sure you're finding out what's the practice like, and then tell us what's your like. Do you need to see him practice Wednesday, Thursday? Do you only need to see him get in on that Friday walk through, that final go through, or do you want to see 100% healthy Lamar Jackson before he's out there? Let us know what you guys think. I mean, what's your threshold, and we'll talk soon.